And before we actually get rolling, there's a couple of songs being made by veterans. Simon Bean, the Maverick Veteran, he's done one. And that really annoying sass bloke. Big Phil, yeah, here he is, he's done one as well. Just to give you all an indication, the police over to my right have a lost child that belongs to one of us in here, to the grandparents. If you're missing a veteran child, please make your way over to the police. She's got a pink top on. Right?
There we go, we've got the Campbell the senator.
And the grandmother's wearing a pink top also.
Who's lost He's lost that mum. You've lost your child. Get yourself to the cenotaph, go stage left, and you'll find a nice copper, alright, and he'll give you the child back, okay? After the smoke and social services, no doubt. No, I'm joking. If you've lost your kid, get yourself over here, alright? Because, yeah.
Right, let's get things underway then. People, we all know why we're here. The government has sold us down the river. Prosecutions have started to happen from our veterans. Going back 47 years. But also rolling today, normally we don't do this, but it's a mark of respect today, because this week is the 75th anniversary of the D-Day landings. So, as a show of strength, to let the government know that we still mean business, these are happening every month, these. But it's also a mark of respect. Yeah? For our grandparents, uncles, aunties, brothers, sisters, that all paid the ultimate price. Hundreds of thousands of them, in between the ages, mainly of 18 to 20. Yeah? We must not forget them. They made this country what it is today. So, the main reason why we are here is to stop these illegal prosecutions of our veterans. We've been in these marches for a number of years, and then one day you all woke up and decided to come out to play. Here's a show of strength to the government that we mean business. Okay? We started in Easter. We put 40,000 veterans in London, and we put 10,000 in Manchester. Then after that, on the 18th, was a practice for showing that we mean business, and we put out the show of strength. We did 8 cities: Belfast, Glasgow, Birmingham, Manchester, Durham, Bristol, Cardiff, and London. We put nearly 300,000 veterans on the streets. Today is to keep our protest in motion. We will not be silenced, we will not go away, and we will stand as one! So our first speaker today, Mr. Mark Campbell, for how it jumped out then. He was a medic in the province. Took speed with Dippo, and he's going to bring you up to speed on what's happening now. Give a round of applause for Mr. Mark Campbell.
Thank you one and all. Thank you for coming here today to show your support. If you served in Northern Ireland, as I did in the 1970s, which was the bloodiest decade of the Troubles, then you will be all too familiar with the machinations of the armed Republican movement. You will have witnessed the cynical use of innocents to cover their activities and their murderous intent. You will have seen the webs of intrigue and lies that they would spin around any situation. You will know that truth is whatever those who hold the weapons say it is. They knew then, and they know now, how to play to the gallery, how to set the scene and weave the tale of a proud population downtrodden by an occupying power. Northern Ireland was not born of conquest. It was born of political will, lobbying and negotiation. The truth is that Northern Ireland was created in 1920 under the Government of Ireland Act. It was created because the Ulster Unionists wanted to be excluded from home rule for Ireland.
No surrender!
Northern Ireland was therefore created to satisfy the desires of its Irish population. Northern Ireland's existence was confirmed under the Anglo-Irish Treaty of 1921 that ended the Irish War of Independence, an agreement between Ireland and the United Kingdom. 3 counties of Ulster, Donegal, and Monaghan, were excluded from being large Catholic and nationalist populations, but the remaining 6 counties had mainly Protestant inhabitants, although they did contain Catholic populations. Partition was not forced on the Irish population. It was specifically at the request of a majority of the inhabitants of the 6 counties. It has always been the Republican movement's intention to portray Northern Ireland as an occupied territory, one occupied by a foreign power, namely Britain. They ignore how and why Northern Ireland was formed and what the role of the army was in Ulster. Their portrayal gained them enormous funds from Irish expats across the globe, but particularly from the US, where the general perception of Ireland was one formed from passed down recollections of immigrants from the 19th century. It was never an accurate depiction of the political or actual situation, but it served the purpose of the IRA. What has all this got to do with Soldier F, you may ask? Well, if you choose a non-Irish member of the United Kingdom's army, then you further the myth of occupation. You further the myth of a brutally subjugated population. You further the myth of empire and of conquest. That is why there are no cases being brought against members of the indigenous authorities, the police and the Ulster Defence Regiment. Justice is not being sought here. They are not seeking justice for the perceived victims of Bloody Sunday or of the Troubles. They are seeking to rewrite history and further the myth of occupation. But let us look at justice. What is justice? The internationally accepted symbol of justice is that of a blindfolded maiden holding a set of scales in one hand and a sword in the other. The scales indicate the weighing of evidence, the assessment of the known facts, both for and against, to obtain a balanced and a fair conclusion. The blindfold represents impartiality, that the law will be applied both evenly and fairly to all. The sword represents authority and that punishment can be swift and final. Article 6 of the Human Rights Act of 1988 has this to say: It is the determination of his civil rights and obligations or of any criminal charge against him. Everyone is entitled to a fair and public hearing within a reasonable time by an independent and impartial tribunal established by law. We learn that the trials are going to be heard in diplock courts. So what is a diplock court? The non-jury system was named after Lord Diplock, a former judge and law lord. During the height of the Troubles, he chaired a commission that examined proposed changes in the administration of justice in an attempt to deal with terrorist offences. Terrorist offences. The Commission published its report in December 1972 and non-jury courts were introduced the following year. The introduction of diplock courts was opposed by civil liberty organisations and both nationalists and Republicans. At their peak, more than 300 trials per year were held without a jury. The government technically abolished the old diplock courts in 2007. However, the government gave the Director of Public Prosecutions temporary power to decide that exceptional cases should be tried without a jury if he believed there was still a risk of jurors being intimidated. This case, or these cases, have been looked at many times until a recent change in the DPP Northern Ireland, it was deemed that there was insufficient evidence to reasonably expect to gain a conviction at trial. There is no fresh and no compelling evidence. There is no smoking gun, no deathbed confessions to alter this situation. Nothing but the desire of some of those within the Northern Ireland authorities to rewrite history. The choice of a diplock court is notable because it was always used for terrorists and paramilitary offences. These were soldiers of the army, carrying out their duties in support of the Northern Irish authorities. They were not terrorists, and to try them as one is an abomination. We must not let our government allow this to happen. We must not let them appease those who would rewrite history. To allow trials to proceed on a purely political basis flies in the face of justice and is a portrayal of the loyalty, faith and endeavour of every person who served their country in its armed forces. We must not let this happen. The motto of the Royal Army Medical Corps is in arduis fidelis, in adversity faithful. Let us remain faithful to our brothers and sisters. Thank you.
I think there were some good facts and figures that a lot of us aren't aware of, yeah? And that's how the government slipped things under the table, right? Just like they did with PESCO and other things. Our next speaker, yeah, some know him as Simon Bean MBE. Yeah, he's admin on a couple of groups against terrorism and veterans for veterans. He's gone out there solely as the Maverick Veteran. Simon Bean MBE.
Afternoon, guys. Maverick Veteran here. Before I start on the speech, can I just have a quick show of thanks and appreciation for little Nikki Batty and her admin team for today. Thank you very much. In the words of Gandhi, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win! Walking the streets of Northern Ireland is a test of character and courage. The enemy doesn't wear a uniform and doesn't play by the rules of war. The enemy is cowardice personified and takes the fight to the innocent men, women and children of Ireland and the United Kingdom. When men like Dennis Hutchins put his boots on the ground for the first time in Ulster, little did he know of the personal courage he would have to summon up to differentiate between friend and foe, with decisions made instantly and effectively to ensure the safety of his comrades and of the general public. After fulfilling his duties within the rules of engagement and being cleared of any wrongdoing, little did he know that his world would be hounded almost constantly for the next 45 years. There comes a time in almost every man's life when the will to carry on in the face of adversity diminishes and you just want to retreat to a corner and give up. But not if you're a veteran. As veterans, we love to fight for each other and those less able to defend themselves. The establishment thought this would be easy. The establishment thought we would just roll over. The establishment thinks they have got us against the ropes. The establishment thinks we're on the verge of surrender. Newsflash! The British veteran community will never surrender! The veteran community will never appease the establishment so that they may in turn appease Sinn Féin, IRA. The veteran community will stand fast as brothers and sisters to ensure Dennis and soldiers A to Z are 100% exonerated from the crimes they are alleged to have committed. And if not, we will hound the establishment night and day until full pardons are issued and every Republican terrorist still alive is placed behind bars and alone. Terrorism is a crime and always has been. But when was it decided that soldiering was a crime? If soldiers become afraid to do their duties as ordered, what incentive is there for future generations to swear the oath of allegiance and fight for Queen and country? As veterans, we stand for our flag. We kneel for our fallen. But we stand, fight and protect each other. And fight for hardship. And we leave no man behind. are not going away, and our collective voice, aligned with that of our allies, will be heard and will get louder!
Before we go on to our next speaker, must just be me, jinxed. Yeah. As it stands at the minute, the HIU, yeah? Anyone know what it stands for? The Historical Investigations Unit is actually looking into 29 veterans. These veterans are ranging back then from different battalions, different regiments, including the SAS. Bollocks. They shouldn't have... If it's not Facebook cutting me off, it's now my TA system. They shouldn't have access to stuff like that. Them veterans should not be being dragged out of the beds and suffered what's going on, especially when we're abiding in the rules of engagement. I did a long time in Northern Ireland. It is a daunting place, a very daunting place. So then, you barkers, the Rolling Thunder, start up your beasts. So as a mark of respect for our next speaker, make some noise and show the establishment we are not on the way. So there you go. We will be heard, we will make noise, and that would show respect that we will stand behind our veterans. So our next speaker is Mr. Dennis Hutchins, one of the veterans being prosecuted.
Can you hear me? How the bloody hell do you follow that? I came up here and I thought I'll start off by taking the piss out of the Grenadiers. It's their turn the colour today, but I can't. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you very, very much for inviting me to your wonderful city. Absolutely. Brought tears to my bloody eyes today. I fully support and agree with our previous speakers. In fact, I had a lot of it to say on here, but I won't now, because it's getting bloody cold and they all want to get put a pint. So, I'll try to keep it as short as I can, but I'll tell you what. The one person who deserves the biggest applause here today is Nikki. The amount of work and effort she's put into this is unbelievable. staying strong. We talked about the letters before. I've got a copy of my letter that I received. The incident I'm involved in took place in June 1974. I received a letter in December 74. If you don't mind, I'll just read it out to you. From headquarters, Northern Ireland, to the Ministry